Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Andrew Schiavone. Andrew Schiavone, how the hell are you?
Good, hey.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for coming in. And where can people see you do? I guess you're about to go into Manhattan to do a show, but where, after that show, where can people find you do stand-up comedy in New York City, and where can they find you online?
So I post my dates on my Instagram, Andrew Schiavone. I post them with the Instagram stories. So I'll have like a cute pic with my where I'm playing and what time.
Oh, good. And then that way you can track who's looking at your post too. Stories are like that.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, it sounds creepy, but
and then do you DM them? Like the people who watch that story, do you DM them? Be like, come to the show?
No, usually it's like hundreds of people. So
he's too big for that.
My eyes cross when I read the fifth person,
and you wouldn't even remember which one is New York based, probably.
No, and they look at every story. So
cool.
Yeah, so they could be from somewhere else. And then my road dates. My tour dates are on my website, andrewschiavone.com.
Oh, cool. And then you have a podcast with Stephen Rogers, and I think it was nearly promoted on Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
And it's called Panic Attacking.
Yes,
okay.
we discussed that. We told Stephen Colbert, they asked for what his credits and what to say, and then Stephen Rogers was like, say the podcast, Panic Attacking. And then
and he did not.
He did not. I don't even know what he said.
Dude, yeah, so it wasn't Panic Attacking, and so unfortunately you just have to coast in the fame of Andrew Schiavone and Stephen Rogers.
Yes.
And every podcast will kind of talk about anxiety, but you'll also have guests. So what kind of guests are you having on there?
So our first guest was Brian Regan.
Oh, yeah.
Who I consider a famous comedian, but
sure.
I don't know if younger people know who he is.
Yeah, no, he's the one thing that you learn about Brian Regan is that everybody who you do like looks up to him as the elder statesman of kicking ass.
Yes.
Like he just owns the room whenever he comes in, especially if you see him live.
Yes.
He's just so impressive.
He's just naturally funny. He makes faces and the voices, and I mean, when we had him on, I was dying laughing the whole time. And he has a lot of anxiety.
Wow.
A professional comedian for 30 plus years, he deals with OCD and anxiety, and he's very socially anxious.
And how does that even work? Or it's just, in his case, in your case, in Stephen Rogers' case, somebody with anxiety, how does stand-up figure in? Because for me, I can be calm right now, but if I were to, if I knew that I was going on stage later tonight, my whole day would be wrecked.
Oh, yeah.
With nerves. And so do you get like that and kind of, or is it an outlet for you that you look forward to?
It's an outlet that I look forward to now, but when I first started, it would, puking in the morning and so anxious that I was going to perform.
So it gets better. And why did it get better? Just because you're more comfortable on stage?
Yeah, more comfortable, and I'm more confident in the material. But when before, I never had said the jokes out loud, or I hadn't even spoken in front of people before.
Yeah, let alone know that the things were funny and what was funny.
Exactly, yeah. Now I'm like, I think these are funny, and that kind of helps.
Yeah, enough people over time have laughed at this where I feel comfortable saying it once or twice.
Yeah, but sometimes there's high-stakes shows, like I performed in front of my girlfriend's parents for the first time, and I was
I thought you were going to say, well, I was in Carnegie Hall, but you're like, no, in front of my girlfriend's parents. That's far worse, right?
Yeah, I was like literally sweat, back sweat, palm sweat.
And is there anything that you were saying about relationships that, had you particularly worried, like maybe I should even take this out of the set, and, maybe they'll think that this is about their beloved daughter?
Yes, I curated the set.
Did you?
To no relationship stuff at all, just anxiety. I talked about anxiety a lot.
Wow.
I figured hey, they should know this if they know me.
And so, I know stand-up is the outlet for you now, and then, but that might not be enough to, just make sure your days are anxiety-free, knowing that you'll be able to go up and blow it out and just have fun on stage. So what does how does anxiety figure into your day-to-day life, and are you talking, how does that figure into your act?
So I've been seeing a therapist for 6 months, and it's the same one Stephen Rogers goes to. He'll help me go and stuff, and I figured out that through her I have social anxiety, which means if there's a big group of people, I'm afraid to say something.
Unless it's a stand-up scenario.
Unless it's a stand-up, yeah, which is so funny. But I guess the stand-up is I know what to say, and it's just me saying. There's no prompt. There's no guy saying, "Hey, Andrew, what do you think of this?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, it's me. Here's my jokes." It's or whatever. But so in stand-up is fine. I know what I'm going to do, and I have fun on stage, and which is totally bizarre. And then when I'm in a group of 5 people I don't really know. Like I could walk off the stage and there's 5 people that want to talk to me, and I'm like, oh.
To tell you how great you are, and you
Yeah.
still are just anxiety ridden.
I'm still anxiety ridden. I don't know how to get out of a conversation, so I'm stuck talking to these 5 people like till the bar closes or the venue closes.
And is it just kind of do you think it's any do these, sometimes anxiety can stem from consideration where the reason why you're sweating conversations with 5 people is because you want to make sure that those 5 people, have a good conversation with you.
Yes.
And then after the conversation is done, you're kicking yourself. Even though you spent 3 hours with these people talking, having an A+ or an A- conversation,
Right.
you're worried about the minus, not the A.
Oh yeah. And then I'm like, I talked to my therapist. I'm like, I think it's. She's like, why do you do that? Why do you talk to these people?
Yeah.
If somebody famous that you admired or and talked to you for 5 hours, wouldn't you be like, that was odd?
Yeah.
Be like, I guess, yeah.
So now that's something else to worry about. I shouldn't talk to them for too long, right? Yeah.
But I was like, I just thought it was rude to end the conversation right away, and I asked her for advice, and then she actually said, we're out of time. And then the next session I asked, and she said, no, that's not rude. That's mental illness.
It's like you could not have told me that before you ended the last session, because I've been sweating it all week long between sessions.
Oh, there's so many times where it's like a cliffhanger where it's like,
fuck
stay
that.
tuned. I know.
Yeah, what an awful therapist.
She'll take out her schedule, and I have like the anxiety of, I have to end this because she's about to reschedule me, and in my head there's a whole line of, therapy people trying to get in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hold up this train of disturbed
and you
people.
walk out and nobody's there. And
Right.
now, do you find that panic attacking is the opportunity for you to get that therapy for free and without being cut off?
Yes.
Without the cliffhanger? Because I don't think Steven Rogers is going to be like, there's something helpful I could say right now, but let's wait till next episode.
Sometimes he does, and I'm like, no, we're going to keep going. I need this.
We share the therapist. Don't start picking up her attributes.
Yeah, we talk about what made us anxious in the week is the theme of the podcast. Yeah. And then also I will usually run what I'm anxious about with my therapist, and then I'll share the advice she gives me with Steven.
And does she know that?
I don't know. Steven told her Steven asked her permission to talk about what she says, and she said, yeah. I mean, the confidential privilege is you guys.
Yeah, and once you waive it, I wonder if then she gets the opportunity to waive it. She's writing a book about you, too.
I think so. I think once we blow up the privilege, it's game over.
And then I think that one cool thing that I saw at least Steven Rogers does with his friends on Facebook, and also you might do, is that before you guys record a podcast, you'll say, hey, guys, we're recording Panic Attacking. What are the things that are making you anxious this week? And then everybody will just list them.
Yeah,
and it's so cool that you guys are soliciting that feedback, it's not even feedback; it's like a preview.
And that makes us anxious because there's too many topics. We can't cover them all, and we have to save them for next week. So we'll only post that once a month because it takes a whole month for us to get through all these topics.
That's so funny. I just think you're being an awesome, kindly, famous person to solicit our kind of input, and really even that is making you anxious.
Yes, it's terrifying because I'm like, Steven, we didn't cover all the topics, and he's like, but we're going too long. He's anxious about it going too long, and I'm anxious about upsetting the people.
And I guess what is real quick, because this is just something that I wonder about, what is too long for a podcast? Because you're seeing people out there just on Joe Rogan and all these people 3 hours, 4 hours.
He's
going 3 hours with Gaffigan, and although I like them both and I love Gaffigan, he's doing then Rogan feels free to do 15 minutes on elk meat. What is too long for the Panic Attacking podcast and why?
Yeah, the Rogan always at the non sequiturs I think I said that word wrong. But
I say non sequiturs, but I also don't say the word because I'm not certain how to pronounce it.
Well, yeah, I only read it. And there's also a newspaper comic called Non Sequitur. Did you ever read that one?
No.
Where that was the Far Side ripoff.
Oh, cool.
And then it would have a box of a cartoon. Okay, anyways, I'm doing what Joe Rogan does.
Non sequitur.
I'm doing a non sequitur about non sequitur.
That's totally inappropriate. That's appropriate. That could become a joke if it's not already.
Oh, I don't think anyone knows that cartoon except for me. I think
just
it came out
even
of the Washington Times.
Oh yeah, but even a non sequitur about non sequiturs is funny.
Oh yeah,
and
that's funny. Oh, I hear what you mean.
Yeah, but how did you guys kind of decide what was too long and why?
Well, one time we did the whole thing with soliciting the topics, and I told Steven, we got to get through all of these, and the episode ended up being 2 hours plus. Okay. And it was our worst performing episode. So Steven was like, yeah, we got to really cut this down.
Yeah.
So now we give ourselves, we end our own anxiety topic at 45 minutes, and then after that we do the suggested topics.
Yeah.
And then we usually end at an hour 10.
And do you guys kind of give a shout out to whose topic it was?
Oh, yeah. We shout
cool.
them out. We give out their full name.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do that.
Yeah. I have to be like, you guys will be outed on our podcast. So, because if it's something that makes you anxious, I would think that somebody on a podcast revealing it with your name could be a little bit dicey, like, oh, I'm anxious about my girlfriend. And then you said my name. I'd be like, oh, my girlfriend found that out. Thanks, guys. She's also a fan of the podcast.
Right.
So, I mean, like, I suppose you could put it in the post, but, people are not outing important things that they're anxious about. And
right.
it's probably not happening like that.
And the post is public, so
Yeah.
if they want like a message, they sometimes message us personally and are like, don't say my name, but this is bothering me. So
Yeah.
then you could do that, I guess.
Because I guess if they did it publicly, they were comfortable with anybody seeing what made them anxious.
Exactly.
And then,
the privilege.
Yeah, the podcaster fan privilege. And then what would you, you're reading out what makes them anxious. Are you trying to say, yes, that also makes me anxious, so I want you to feel like, oh, that's not out of the realm of reason, but are you also trying to give them ways to deal with it?
Yes, both. So the first thing we try to do is relate. So one person was like, I'm anxious that when I can't remember what seat I am in college. Like in the college lecture halls, the first seat you pick, I guess, is the seat you have to sit in every day.
Yeah.
And he couldn't remember where to sit, and it made him anxious, so he like skipped the class. And I said, well, listen, I had the same problem, and what I did is I hid in the bathroom until everyone sat down, and then I saw the one empty seat, and I was like, that must be mine, and I sat there.
I dropped out. I didn't go to the class ever again. Right? That's one way to solve it.
There was one class where I did sleep in, and I didn't show up the first day, so I dropped the class because I was too embarrassed to go the next day.
Oh my gosh, so the embarrassment of it. I actually had a professor where I fell asleep in his class. When I woke up, he was staring at me in the middle of the class, and he goes, if you have to sleep during my class, you don't have to come. And so later, that felt bad. I was traumatized, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
of course.
afterwards, I go up to him, like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, I really meant it, though. Like, attendance is not mandatory, so feel free to not come in if you're not going to get anything out of it.
Well, and plus he doesn't want to teach and then look at a sleeping man.
Yeah. And then you're distracting people with your snoring and things like that. And
yeah, you're drooling and it's getting on somebody's paper.
But I can't, I guess if I had, I have OCD, but I don't have general anxiety, and it would just be awful. So I'm glad I don't have it. Although, with OCD, I spent, 3 minutes looking to make sure my door was closed this morning. So that sucks, but it's very localized, such that I'm not anxious all the time.
That's good.
But I guess what I'm saying is that it's nice that if I had anxiety, I would have been too embarrassed to go back to that class.
Yes.
And that's just fucked up, and it's worthy of therapy. Like, it's just
right.
I'm glad that I don't have it. But it's good that you guys are dealing it with, through talk,
yes.
through funny talk. Like, do they, how are you making light of it to make sure that it's living up to Steven Rogers and Andrew Schiavone's comedy? Is it still a comedy podcast?
It's still, we make the jokes.
Yeah.
Dude, Steven is he just rattles off like quips, and sometimes he does it too quickly where I'm in the middle of a story. I don't even know what it's a joke. And then I'll listen back and I'll be like, oh, I should have laughed.
Yeah, I'm so anxious. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel anxious because I didn't laugh. Right.
Right, because I'm reliving the anxious story, so I get all worked up, and he's making the jokes, and I can't. I'm sure people listening are laughing at him, but I feel bad that I'm not. And through talking to him and the therapy, and really finding like the roots of what my issues are, and I think it mainly is embarrassment and politeness. I thought it was politeness, but it's actually anxiety because. I always was paranoid about not being rude, my whole life. Yeah,
it stems from a place of consideration, whereas other anxiety might be pride. It's like, oh, I only get anxious because I don't want people to think I'm stupid. But here, it's like I get anxious because I don't want the other person to feel stupid because I left that conversation soon.
And I don't want to feel stupid either. So maybe I have two issues.
Yeah, two things. And then and I guess awareness is increasing with this. Like, there's some stand-ups who are doing really well right now who are comfortable talking about this stuff on stage.
Yes.
And so it's making its way into your stand-up set?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My opening act is all social anxiety, and I'm trying to work it to be funnier, and I talk about everything that makes me anxious. Like, I used to not be able to handle compliments that well.
Okay.
They used to make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Most people love them. They're like, oh, thank you. But I was like, well, this is why you're wrong. I'm not deserving of this compliment, and you're wrong, and you're a jerk.
And that's all in your head, though.
That's all it meant.
Because you never would tell a person they're a jerk because you're too anxious that they'll dislike you.
Exactly. You're right. So now I just I talk about on stage where if somebody compliments my clothes, I just have a habit where I just give a fact about the clothes. Like, I can't just say thanks. I have to go, "Oh, thank you. It's tumble dry only," and they'll be like, "What?"
That's a great fucking joke. So it's good you're spinning it into hilarity. And where is your show later today in Manhattan? Just because I'm curious.
It's at the Stand Comedy Club.
Oh, cool.
It's a brunch show.
Is that Union Square?
Yes, the new one. So they used to be in Gramercy, now it's in Union Square. It's like a humongous place and a restaurant.
Yeah, they just redid it or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we had Drew Drevyenko on, and he does Geek and Destroy there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, Drew is awesome.
And I actually was like, is that the one on Upper West Side? And he's like, no, you're thinking of Stand Up New York.
Stand Up New York, right.
And they was talking about how nice the stand is, and it's by Union Square, which is a perfect part of the city.
Yeah, well, I'm actually anxious about this show because it's the first time I've done stand-up while it's like kind of morning.
Okay.
You know, like it's 3 p.m., but it's a brunch show, so people are going to be like eating eggs and, whatever people eat.
But do you really go to the stand? I mean, really,
right.
like a comedy club to eat their eggs, or are they primarily there for the comedy? I would think.
I think they're mainly there for the comedy.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that won't help you with anxiety, but it's like they're not coming. If they wanted to go to Tavern on the Green or something, they'd be, surprised if there was a comic there.
That's
true. But with the stand, and so who else are you on there with? If you know, I'm totally putting you on the spot.
I actually don't know. I have to. But Remy Casimir runs the show. She's a funny comedian. She has her own podcast about how she's never orgasmed or something.
And of course, she had you as a guest. She had you as a guest on that show?
No, I don't think I would.
So remember, Andrew Schiavone, we went out that time, and guess what? You're on the podcast called I've Never Orgasmed in My Life. And this is where I bring on guys from previous love interests. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah,
right?
So if you have an issue out there, there's guaranteed a podcast about it.
I would hate being called onto that podcast. My Lord, it's like.
Well, I guess she just had something where she couldn't do it.
Okay.
So it was like a mental thing.
And so, are you being booked? I mean, your material is probably not all about anxiety, but I mean, are you booked on certain shows because the comics on it are talking about things like that, or not really?
No, not yet. I do no. Just
you're hoping to get the set to the chunk where they do invite you for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's still working. It's still getting there.
Okay.
Like Gary Goldman. I think you referenced him.
Yeah.
Almost right.
Absolutely.
Is that the guy you were talking about?
Well, no. I mean, I did reference him during Stephen Rogers and also during Tristan Miller. But it's nice that people like Gary Goldman are talking about depression or whatever and making it hilarious. But it's just like people who are not at Gary Goldman's level probably are much more comfortable knowing that somebody so high up on the mountaintop has made a whole special kind of dealing with it in a serious educational way.
Exactly, yeah. So that's maybe what I want is an hour of anxiety and like him.
Anxiety material, not anxiety.
Right.
No, an hour is the least of anxiety I have per day.
I mean, I have 24 hours of anxiety every day. But yes, 1 hour where it's funny would be great.
Dude, that's so great. And so if they want to find you, it's Andrew Schiavone, and it's SCHIAVONE.
Right.
Okay, and you're across social platforms, Andrew Schiavone?
And A Schiavone on Twitter, ASCHIAVONE. And I should really change the spelling, but I don't know what I'm doing.
No. As long as there is hilarious stuff on your Instagram, and the fact that I'll be stalked if I look at your Instagram story.
Yes, if you do. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm telling you.
I get so anxious about doing that where I will not. And the thing is, I just got on Instagram, and I finally found the feed. I didn't even know there's a fucking feed. And so then I clicked on somebody's picture, and I was like, oh, am I clicking on her story?
Right.
I don't want this girl to think I'm stalking her. She's,
God.
These are female comics who want their shit to be seen, but I've always never looked at people's stories because I don't want them to think I'm stalking them for, stalking them at all,
right.
Let alone for some male-female reason. I just want to look at your shit.
Same exact paranoia I have. My roommate, I just live with one other person, and I look at his Instagram to make sure he's not home, just for my own...
Yeah, to plan your day, right?
To plan my day or whatever. So one time I clicked on his story and I was like, oh no, he's going to see me.
He's going to think that I want him out of the house or something?
Oh, well, actually, we're not Instagram friends. I just don't want to know that. I don't want him looking at my Instagram.
Yeah. Oh. Are you talking shit about roommates in general?
On my podcast.
Oh.
I have a lot of roommate anxiety.
Yeah.
So I immediately blocked him. And,
that's probably would get you some anxiety too, because will he know that you blocked him? I mean, now he will because I
looked it up. Of course,
you had to look it up.
The anxiety in me made me look it up. Well,
sure.
They know, and they say they don't. So I just blocked him, and now I don't look at his. Now I don't know if he's home.
And I think roommates are pretty typical in New York City, and so if you're an anxious person, and I'm a little bit OCD, and so that does play into the whole roommate thing a little bit because
Right.
mine is born of consideration, so I'm always cleaning the bathroom thoroughly after I shower.
But don't you hate when you clean it and then the roommate does not?
No, like I'm so clean such that and I think a buddy's roommate was the same way. It's like where my buddy had a clean roommate. I'm like, just let him clean and don't make him feel bad about cleaning so much. So I'm fine, like if she's a little messy or whatever, and she's really not. But the worst thing would be, why are you taking so long cleaning the bathroom after you take a shower and making me feel self-conscious while I'm cleaning up after myself?
I would feel bad about that, but also I would have a lot of resentment for being the only one cleaning.
Oh,
I'd be
okay.
like, this piece of crap.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the work. I'm not a maid.
But if you're cleaning and I only clean that one thing, that real small bathroom, and so if you're cleaning it every day, it never gets dirty enough. So there's never resentment.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of like the OCD will manifest itself in avoiding certain things too. Like I don't use the fridge, I don't use the stove because I don't want to check if their clothes are off. Is there
Okay.
any avoidance going on with your anxiety?
Yes, big. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I had a weird conversation with this comedian, so I'm not going to go to this party.
And I'm going to avoid him
I'm
from
going to
now on.
avoid
Right?
him, yes. And
And
then,
everybody's like, why does Andrew Schiavone hate me?
yeah, why is this guy clearly avoiding me? I'm
He
like, 'cause
doesn't
I'm not
book me on
subtle.
his shows. Yeah, and so how would you avoid? I mean, I guess you're blocking people, but how would you?
Yeah, I'm blocking people now.
But how would you avoid somebody in a social set, like especially in the comedy world? Someone's a professional relationship where you kind of should keep them up. Otherwise, it's like, why is Andrew Schiavone such a dick? But really, you're not. You're just being anxious and
Yes.
avoiding things as a result.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I have to like really just bite my tongue and be like, "Hello." Like even that's hard. I'm like I'm like talking, but like my hands are behind my back, all like
Wow.
being weird. My hands are being weird, and like because it's the anxiety's channeling into my hands, so I have to put them behind my back because they're like twitching and
He's gonna see that I'm
Yeah.
anxious right now.
right. So I'm like composed in the front, but behind me it's like a puppet show of my fingers and I'm like
That's
going
great.
nuts.
That's another great anxiety bit for your hour. And I'm glad, like, if you're talking about this so much and you're going to have an hour of anxiety stuff at some point, it's nice to know that the other comics in the world will be like, don't worry, Andrew Schiavone doesn't hate you.
Right.
He's just fucking anxious.
I'm just
and he might be
anxious.
avoiding you because you make him anxious or something.
Right, and I'm avoiding you because I know if I get in a conversation with you, I don't know how to end it. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking for 5 hours, and there's going to be people around like, is Andrew avoiding me? He's talking to one person. I'm like, no, I'm just, I have issues.
I love that. And my clothing is tumble dry only.
Yeah.
And I do the thing where I'm such an introvert and I get out of conversations so easily because I do really want the conversation to be great. Where
Yes.
I'm the guy in the door jam.
Okay.
So I'm the guy who'll be chatting with my roommate, but I'll always be just at the edge of the room. And whenever things are at a good point, I'll just kind of
You go out
walk
on
go out on the high note, like
high
George
note.
Costanza.
Right, yeah. That's it for me.
Big hut, everybody. Okay, well, Andrew Schiavone, thank you so much. And we're going to do the podcast is everywhere, Panic Attacking, you and Steven Rogers, and that's everywhere. Well, it's also, I think it's SoundCloud.
Yeah, it's every we try to put it everywhere, and it's a new episode every Monday morning.
Okay, and then if you want to get on their list of people, people informing them what, made you anxious, I guess, do they have to be your friends on Facebook?
No, they can do it on Instagram. They can reply to the story. We post
Okay.
the Instagram story, tell us what made you anxious, and people reply to that. And that's private. It just goes to the DM.
Oh, okay. And so if you can totally be anonymous with it, and you don't even have to be their friends, because they probably are anxious about you anyway. But Andrew Schiavone, you and Steven Rogers are going to have the thing, and you're going to be at the Stand today.
Stand today.
And where are the other upcoming shows?
I'm going to be at Caroline's on Broadway.
Oh, cool.
I think the first Tuesday of March, they're doing this competition where it's called March Madness, and every comedian gets 1 minute. Wow. And it's I'm freaking out
What do you
about that.
do for that minute?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
working
what is
it out.
Andrew Schiavone's minute going to sound
I
like?
don't know. Maybe I'll do the tumble dry only bit.
Yes. Dude, yeah, I must think that you have to bring so much energy to kind of out-energy certain people, but
Yes.
if that's not you, that's not you. And
I'm
you have to sustain it for each round too, right? How many rounds are there going to be? Like 4 or 5 if you make it?
Well, it's the one night is the first round where 64 comedians do a minute, and then the next night 32 do 2 minutes, and then it goes like that every week.
Wow.
And then at the end, I think the final 4 do 15 minutes. So I got that coming
And
up.
how do they analyze that? Is it by crowd laughter or is it by a judge? Or is it both?
They
Or is it a bringer thing?
they'll do.
How many people did you bring and how loud did those people laugh?
Well, I mean, I'm sure bringing people will factor in because they'll
'Cause
cheer for you,
yeah, right.
right? I think they do. I watched it last year, and every comedian does the 60 seconds, and then at the end, they go, "Was it this person? Woo! Or this person?"
Yeah.
So then they're like, "I think this had the most laughs." It's not. They don't have an applausometer. I think it's the judges are gauging that.
Yeah, so and it would be across nights too, so you'd have to bring people every single night.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I don't. Me, I'm too anxious. I'm not going to ask people.
Yeah, your natural market. I'm too anxious to bring my natural market of family and friends.
Yeah,
and
I just figure there's enough people there that
Yeah.
I'm not going against the one guy that has the whole crowd.
And I would hope though at the end, like with the final four, it's like everybody's going to bring their crowd at that point. I really hope that they're going for quality and not just.
Right.
How many people did you bring, and how big are they cheering and laughing?
If I make it to the final four, I will put it out on social media. Please come.
Yeah, and let me know what's making you anxious, because I will. If you come, I will tell it on stage.
Exactly. That'll be my 10 of the 15 minutes.
Oh, that's so great. Well, Andrew Schiavone, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thanks.